to respond quickly to your point, you could say that about a speaker. You could say that about the majority leader in the United States Senate. I don't know where you stop on this, but there's certainly lots of people that have great amount of power that you could do this to. But to this particular piece, Mr. Smith, I really just have one basic question for you today. Would you describe, and you did some of this in your remarks, but I would ask you to describe the process you went through on consideration of the discussion draft of the bill, H.R. 9640, as introduced today. What kind of process did we have leading into this legislation coming before us here today?
Pretty much nothing. I mean, it was brought up just moments ago, and certainly I think something like this could be a unifying effort to put to rest some division and lack of unity across our country by focusing on, very legitimately, a process of disclosure, perhaps. But this is late in the game, as was even pointed out here. I think it's inappropriate without the proper vetting or hearings and markups. As we did not mark up the bill yesterday. Let me be very clear. We marked up this process for the release of the private information.
So we've had no hearing on the bill?
No hearing.
We've had no markup on the bill?
No markup.
Any member have an opportunity to present amendments to the bill?
Absolutely not.
I think that tells us all we need to know about what the real aim here is. This is not a serious piece of legislation. It's not going to become law. Everybody here knows that. The United States Senate is not going to pick it up and move it. I mean, it's just an effort to score political points at the very end here, and I regret that.
And to emphasize the fact that the cries for at least 4 years for the release, and even more than that, for the release of the private information, those were loud and they were frequent. They mentioned nothing about the legislative purpose. This so-called legislative purpose, this bill here today, is only more recent in its approach to kind of conjure up the so-called legislative purpose.
I mean, recent is a generous word. Recent could be a week ago, a month ago. This is like today.
And even throughout this process on the returns, I mean, there was not a level playing field in terms of both parties having the same access, and it's unfortunate because I think this is dangerous and a horrible, horrible precedent.
I think you've made my point. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.